Oh there, YouTube. If you are someone who plays role-playing games, particularly Dungeons & Dragons, you will likely be aware that the new edition, the 6th edition, is on its way. They're calling it ONE D&D because for some reason they have decided they no longer want to number these editions, but it's 6th edition, don't let anyone tell you otherwise, that's what it is. However, this new edition is going to be very different from the previous edition in one key way. And that is, this is being run by the corporate side of Wizards and Hasbro. Someone has decided that the brand of Dungeons & Dragons is not being monetized enough. That there is gold in them, they're nerds, and they are going to shake it out of us. So, I'm making this video in order to say that Wizards of the Coast and Hasbro, you can both get fucked. I will not be playing ONE D&D. I will not be playing D&D. Not as you make it. You see, one of the things that Wizards of the Coast and Hasbro don't want you to know is that under the international laws, the US laws and the EU laws, they are not allowed to copyright or trademark gaming mechanics. You cannot copyright these things. So they cannot copyright attributes. They cannot copyright rolling a 20-sided dice. They cannot copyright the idea of armor class. These things are too pervasive and too commonplace, because it'd be too foundational to be something that you can simply claim. It would be like trying to claim the concept of a genre. So, you can't do it. This is a good thing for us gamers. This means that if you want to run a game in which you roll d20s, and you have a strength, dexterity, constitution, intelligence, wisdom and charisma attribute, and you roll to see if you hit, based on d20 checks, using those attributes, and an armor class system that represents a mixture of your armor and your ability to dodge, combined with a health system represented by health points, which is an abstract number of points of potential damage that you can avoid before the damage is permanent. This system is something that D&D can never claim. It's why Pathfinder is allowed to exist. I am currently writing my own house rules, which was intended to be a modified version of 5th edition Dungeons & Dragons. I'm going to be expanding on this. I'm going to be expanding on this, and I'm going to be making it into its own game. Because I want to be able to play my games without any oversight of any kind. I will be making my own setting, and I'll be using whatever monsters I damn well please. D&D is, as a concept, very, very freeform. And a lot of the monsters in it, they're not owned by anyone. You see, no one at Wizards of the Coast owns the right to elves, or orcs, or goblins, or anything along those lines. They don't own the rights to any of the monsters they've created. They don't even own the rights to monsters that they think they own the rights to. Things like Dragonborn. They don't own the rights to that. They don't own the rights to the monster. They don't own the rights to the name. They think they do, but they don't. The concept of a lizard person that is part dragon, but is basically an anthropomorphic dragon, that has existed previously. And the name Dragonborn, that is simply something born of a dragon. So if you were to create an anthropomorphic race of humanoid dragon people that are born from dragon eggs that were laid by a dragon and call them Dragonborn, there is absolutely nothing that Wizards of the Coast could do to claim that that would not be a logical piece of fiction that you can independently come up with. It is so simplistic that it is conceptual, which means that they cannot claim copyright over it. They think they own the copyrights to things like beholders and mind flayers. They don't. They don't own the copyrights to these things. Very specific images of a beholder or a mind flayer that have particular names, like Xanathar, for example. They own the copyrights to those characters. But a beholder or a mind flayer, they do not own the rights to these monsters. They are aberrant creatures based on the mythos of H.P. Lovecraft, and they do not own that. That's in the public domain. They can claim that they own it as much as they like. They don't. The vast majority of their monsters are based on mythology. Things like hags, demons, devils. They own the rights to none of this. What they do own the rights to are character specifics. So you can't use a particular character. Specific named spells. But you could use the spell without naming it. So instead of using Melth's Acid Arrow, you could just use Acid Arrow. Just take the word Melth away from it. Instead of using Big B's Grasping Hand, you just cast Grasping Hand. That then stops that from being copyrighted. They own almost nothing of their game. And they don't like this. They want you to pay. They want you to pay over and over again. They also want other people to pay. They are sick of people like Matt Mercer and the people of Critical Role getting away with making loads of money advertising their game by playing it publicly, making it very available and very popular without paying any kind of royalty fees. If Matt Mercer has any real backbone, he'll tell them to get stuffed and will keep running in whatever system he designs next, because he's designed systems on the fly without even thinking. He designed one based on Elden Ring in a matter of a few weeks. He could easily design his own D20 system based on what is open license material without ever having to pay a single bit of royalties. He could technically stick with 5th edition and just use the open game license. However, the open game license is now actively under attack. Even though the open game license is supposedly a license that exists in perpetuity, it is now being removed. So not only will the open game license not exist for 6th edition, or ONE D&D, it's 6th edition, that's not the point. Not only will there not be an open game license for this, or if there is, it's going to be a monetized license where you have to pay royalty fees, and there'll be heavy limitations on what you can and cannot do. Not only will that be the case, but they're going to try to retroactively enforce this on previous editions. This is not a good step. I will not put up with this. My stuff is going to be completely outside of the control of any corporation of any kind. What I create is not going to be copyrighted by anyone but me. I don't believe in and I don't support the abuse of copyright. Frankly, I believe that copyright is disgusting. I always believe that copyright is disgusting and I don't respect it. Copyright is a means of keeping our culture out of the hands of us. And that's disgusting and sick. We should all have the right to make derivative versions of Lord of the Rings. The thing is 70 plus years old and everyone who was involved in its creation is dead. It should not be copyrighted to anyone. It should be free and able to be adapted and altered and rewritten by anyone who wants to. This should be also true of a lot of other big key figures, like the vast majority of DC and Marvel comics at this point, which are also quite substantially older. If it wasn't for the likes of Disney, that have pushed extensions to copyright laws to a ridiculous level, most of the stuff that is being milked by mainstream media at the moment would be public domain. Public domain does not hurt things. The works of Lovecraft are public domain. All of the books of Charles Dickens are public domain. All of Sherlock Holmes is public domain. These things have not suffered for being public domain. They are still just as popular now as they ever were. Public domain is a good thing. And I, for one, am not going to allow a toy company with an ego trip to decide that it's going to alter the way the most mainstream and most played game, the most mainstream, most played tabletop role-playing game gets played from now on. They don't get a say. We get a say. We get to run our tables the way we want. So, I'm rebelling against this. I'm not going to even look at anything ONE D&D. If it's ONE D&D related, if it's anything from this new 6th edition, I'm not even going to look at it. Because I'm writing my own system. And there's every possibility that I'm going to have something in there that's similar to something that is in ONE D&D. That could happen. As let's face it, they have intelligent people working on this stuff, and they might come up with a similar idea to something I come up with. But I'm not reading anything that they put out. I'm not referencing anything that they put out. I'm not even going to deem it worthy of opening the book, because I don't want any influence from anything they're touching to influence my game anymore. I don't want them to have an excuse to be able to say, you took my idea. No, I didn't take any of your ideas. In fact, every idea I have, you guys seem to steal. I don't know how you bloody do it, but it doesn't matter what I do, it's in your next supplement. Seriously. I run a campaign, you guys do it again as an official campaign setting. So I was running Spelljammer as a game that I had retroactively fit into 5th edition using some house rules. Spelljammer came out for 5th edition, my version was better. I was trying to run a Planescape game where I implemented the planes from Magic the Gathering into the wider Dungeons & Dragons world. What happened? They brought up things like Theros and Ravnica as official settings for D&D. I'm not joking when I say if I do something, it becomes an official setting within 2 years. I don't know how they do it. Maybe they microchip my fucking house. I know they actually haven't. My game is not being watched by the people at Wizards of the Coast, but it does not feel like it sometimes. At the moment, I'm running a game in which my group have been in Faerun, in the Forgotten Realms, and they have just had to go over to the world of Dark Sun. Dark Sun does not have a setting book at all in 5th edition. If the next thing they announce is a setting supplement for Dark Sun, I am going to hit the fucking roof. Because that is exactly what I would expect right now. It's because I'm running something that's set in Dark Sun, I expect to see that show up next. Anyway. This was just me saying that I'm not going to give in to this attempt by Wizards of the Coast and Hasbro to monetize D&D and fill it with microtransactions and constant payment options. It isn't a subscription hobby. This isn't what I'm signing up for. I'm happy to support good products, but this doesn't feel like a good product. This feels like a desperate attempt to squeeze us for cash. And I'm going to push back against it in the same way as I push back against a video game that said that it was adding season passes and cosmetic microtransactions and all that crap. That's what this is. It's the equivalent of that, only in a tabletop RPG. I will make my rules available so that people can look over them. They're fairly simple so far. I've got the basics pretty close to ready. And I'm hoping to have them up and playable within the next couple of months. I'm just working on a few little things I want to tweak. I want to make sure there's proper crafting rules in place so that you can do various things with that. And I want to alter the magic system a little bit to make it fit how I see the magic in my system. It's going to be interesting, and I look forward to seeing what people do with it. I look forward to seeing if other people run games with it, and I look forward to running games in it. And I'm going to do it without ONE D&D, Hasbro, Wizards of the Coast. I'm going to do it without any of them. I may even go as far as to change some of the core mechanics enough that they are different things, such as simply changing the names of attributes. Perhaps we have strength, agility, and endurance. Just an idea. Maybe instead of armor class, we have a different name. Like, armor class is a really stupid name for it anyway. Maybe we have a different name for that. Haven't decided yet. Maybe I'll have different names for the classes. I've always found some of the classes have been a little on the weird side. So, I'll have to think and decide whether or not I want to change any of those. But, in the meantime, I'm going to still be playing a 5th edition campaign, and my rules are designed to be as close to what I'm currently playing as possible. I play a lot of house rule heavy 5th edition, so it's been based on a lot of that, and I've basically been playtesting bits of what is going into this game since 2017. So, I'll be happy to see this finally come together as one full game. One change that I am genuinely considering is going from a D20 to a 3D6 system. That would be interesting, though it would skew things to a more neutral setting. There would be a lot less variation. Everything would be far more grouped around the middle. It's doable. Whether or not that would be fun, I'm not sure yet. We'll find out. We'll work that out. So that's what I want to say on this. Hopefully, Wizards of the Coast and Hasbro see sense and stop trying to milk this as what they see as a cash cow. But if not, this hobby can and will exist without them. Till next time, I'll talk to you later. Bye.